Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today is October 18th. That's right. There we go. October 18th. And welcome to episode 221 of Simply Cyber's daily cyber threat brief. Hope everybody is doing well today. I am your co host and guest, well, not co host, but guest host once again by the grace of Gerald, or Dr. Gerald Ozier, allowing me to take the helm here of Eric Taylor. And over the next 45 minutes, I will be delivering today's top cybersecurity news. Side note, triggers of political topics may come up today. I'm going to do my best. I do my best not to get political on these things unless it's one of my dumpster fire type of shows. So we will do our best not to get political because there's a couple articles there that could easily get that way. So we'll do our best on that one. But with that said, we are doing some Beastie Boys sabotage this morning as we go through the intro. And again, over the next 45 minutes, I will be delivering argumentatively the top cybersecurity news of the day, providing technical expert analysis of each and every one of these stories, what it means to you as a practitioner, or if you're looking to get into the industry. This is the cutting edge stuff that you can go in there and crush your job, that interview, or talking to your peers about today's news, is so that way you are up to date and you're not feeling left behind, right? Like, well, what about that certain topic? I don't know anything about that topic, but because you tuned in to here today, you will know about said topic. Shout out and thanks to this stream sponsor, Barricade Cyber Solutions. That is us. I'm the CEO. You guys and girls know who we are. We are the DFI firm when things hit the fan. Check us out, barricadecyber.com. We'll have a conversation with you. Even if you have a question, hey, does this look suspicious to you? You know, many people have. We'll be happy to talk to you about that stuff. Also, thanks to the show's co-sponsor, Recon InfoSec. If your organization is large enough to have real cybersecurity concerns, or maybe not quite large enough to build a full-fledged security operations capability from the ground up, aka building it out yourself. Check out the managed detection and response offering from Recon InfoSec. Their offering provides the people, the processes, and the technology to help deliver the full spectrum of security operations to any organization of any size. Again, like I said last week, if you're coming up on those renewals of your EDR, MDR, MTR, whatever flavor that they're using this week, definitely check out, Recon InfoSec. They may be able to help replace or advance your current security stack, right? But here you go. I also want to remind you, if you're holding professional certifications that require CP, like here for SANS and other things, right? Each episode of the daily cyber threat briefing is worth half a CPE, so 2.5 every week and roughly 10 a month. Like Gerald says, these things do stack up. Putting in there. I've seen the team live. I'm loving it. I'm loving that team live has become a thing when team replay was such a thing, right? So I'm loving it, loving it, loving it, and loving you guys being here. I really do appreciate it. If you are a team replay, please, or thanks for catching this stream. Please post out, that you're here. We'd love to be able to see you in the post notes and catching up in the future as well. So as we do with all things, we will kind of sit here and say what's up to the chat. I've already definitely had my half a pot to a pot of coffee, so now it's on to the water. So I'm going to be sipping some of the water, getting hydrated, listening to some 90s alternative music while we get ready to enter into today's information. Carrie, you've hit the like button a million, billion, zillion times. But see, Carrie, that's the problem with LinkedIn. It just goes on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. There's an adult joke in there somewhere that we'll refrain from, right? But what's going on? I really do appreciate everybody's loving me being in here, helping filling in the reins. Leonardo, if I was still drinking coffee right now, I'd probably be well into pot number two. So definitely trying to keep down the coffee intake a little bit, right? James Lund. Oh, So side note, James Lund, my good buddy James Lund. Hopefully you don't mind me saying that. We kind of know each other a little bit, but there is a forensic examiner conference coming up. Shameless plug, we are a sponsor of it. But message me, look out for Jim Lund, look him up on LinkedIn. Jim, leave the link for the forensic examiners conference coming up today, or coming up here in a couple of weeks. So if you are looking to get into forensics examinations, or you're in that space, this is definitely the conference that's coming up. Reach out to me. I can give you a link. James Lund could definitely give you a link as well. I am really, really pumped for that conference coming up and looking forward to it. Desmond, are you still in Las Vegas? Michael Vito, yes. Coffee helps you get through that night shift. Ugh. Plenty of 24-hour, 36-hour, 48-hour days in my history. Tell you what, that caffeine definitely gets you there. Thankfully, I'm not drinking all that Mountain Dew and all that other stuff anymore. I've cut all that stuff out about a year ago. Cadley Joseph does not need 2 pots of Eric today. Yes, that's when things get really interesting. I used to drink anywhere between 2 and 3 pots of coffee every day, and then I'd be able to pass out within 30 seconds of hitting the bed. Joel, it's not a competition on coffee drinking, sir. I tell you what, the years of coffee drinking definitely helped elevate my blood pressure to dangerous levels on constant. Between that and smoking, um, my blood pressure pretty much stayed at cardiac arrest levels. So, level up goodness, yes, I used to be able to do that as well. I tell you what, it's definitely not. I mean, it's kind of funny to look back and be like, ah, that was funny times, but you got to think about it. When you are drinking that much coffee, you can still fall asleep, and you're needing that coffee to just maintain day to day, right? Mm, it definitely makes me cringe now, right? So Jack's got a good point. I only drink coffee in the office. Well, when your office is at home, hmm. But anyway, we've been jamming out to a little bit of nice music. Hopefully, that's been you know, y'all been getting pumped up. Y'all ready for the day. Hopefully, y'all have had y'all's morning walk. Maybe you walk the puppies and stuff like that. With that said, we are going to flip the script. I am going to change this because thanks for Gerald for a long time ago. Gerald would help me out and put this little banner together. But let me change it back to the proper one. There we go. And let me get this in here. Let me turn off this music. And what is going? There we go. There we go. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get started with this. Hope everybody is doing well. Let me switch back over to here. Turn up my volume. Today from the CISO series. It kicks off. Of course. I changed sources and it just goes to trash. What's the infamous saying? It's not a daily cyber threat briefing without an audio issue, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. Come on, iPad. Off at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific with Super Cyber Friday, where we'll be... What in the Sam trash? Has been employing custom... Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just refresh this page. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. This thing has gone full Riri on me here. Guess let me just try changing the speaker. Maybe that'll help it.
From the CISO series, it's cybersecurity headlines.
It's Friday, October 14th, 2022. Polonium APT targets Israel with a new custom backdoor dubbed Papa Creep. The APT group has been employing custom backdoors and attacks aimed at Israeli entities since at least September 2021, focusing only on Israeli targets.
What in the world is going on here? All right, let's start this up. Sorry. Apparently, you had the wrong audio feed. Oh my gosh. So we had speaker. I had the wrong MP3. Oh, it's a morning. Let's start this off
From
right.
the CISO series, it's Cybersecurity Headlines.
It's Tuesday, October 18th, 2022. Ransomware halts German newspaper circulation. Over the weekend, the German newspaper Heilbronn Stimme suffered a ransomware attack, knocking phone and email communication out for days and causing it to cancel its print edition on October 14th. It published electronically and in a 6-page emergency print edition the next day. It will continue running shorter print editions, but said it cannot currently foresee when daily papers would return. During the attack, the paper took down the paywall on its site. The attack impacted the entire media group that owns the paper, also affecting circulation at 3 other publications. No word on a specific ransom demand or what group orchestrated the attack.
As with all this stuff, right? It's nobody's, unless it's on a name and shame site, nobody's going to really be like, oh, it was, Lockbit 3.0 or whatever the case is, right? But it's the fact that the paper is still putting out publications in a printed format in 2022 when so much stuff is digital is still kind of crazy to me. So I hate to see any business that is impacted that greatly by a ransomware attack. It does sound like while they did have email and other communications that were completely offline for a little bit, they were still able to do sort of publication, even if it was in a digital format. So I would have to suspect that they at least had some sort of incident response plan. They had some fail safes in place. If A happened, then B and C took place type of scenario. Take this thing as a note. If you don't have these type of things, it's time to start having those type of conversations with the C-suite inside your organization. One of the analogies that I would always do is like if I backed up a U-Haul truck and threw all of your stuff in there, or threw a department stuff in there and under padlock and armed guard, what would you do next? Short of shoot us, but you get the point, right? So that could be power outages, that could be ransomware, that could be whatever. I have seen improper electrical systems put into buildings that completely fried an entire wing because somehow or another they had some handyman in there or something, and which I've done a lot of electrical work in my time, but they've crossed a 2-phase to a single phase, and somehow or another went 3 months without being detected, and they plugged something up and blew out half the freaking the wing of everything. It was really crazy. Normally the breakers stop that, but man-made crap will break, right? So definitely have your IR. It's not just about ransomware, it's about any sort of incident. It's an incident response plan. What type of incident, you fill in the blank, and what is your procedure to move on from that. All right, so carrying on.
Meta disputes Indian content moderation report. Earlier this month, the Indian publication The Wire reported that Meta gave an operative of the governing BJP party the ability to remove content from its platform. The Wire claimed its reporting came from internal documents, later sharing a picture of alleged emails and screenshots showing the system in effect. Meta called the story fake and the documents fabricated. In a follow-up blog post, Meta said that the system shown in The Wire's report wasn't an internal Instagram system. Rather, it was a Meta workplace account set up with Instagram's brand insignia and name, set up as a free trial after the initial Wire report published. Meta said it identified and locked the account.
Well, this is going to be a bunch of he said, she said. We've seen reports where Google, in order to serve up content in Russia and Korea and other parts of the globe, and I believe Facebook as well, but I definitely know Google has. They've allowed censorship of their platform to be in there. You know, is it too far to think that Meta is doing the same thing to make sure they reach their global attention span of potential people on their platform? I think not, but whatever. I mean, it would be interesting. I have to go back and read it. Yeah, I don't think this was anything about censoring individual people trying to exchange free ideas or anything like that, right? So civil lawmakers closer range. Mm, yeah, so companies often complain that journalists are getting nuances wrong, usually air and dismay of off the record. So yeah, maybe some journalistic issues going on over there in India. Definitely worth a deeper read, throughout the day and see if that's the case or not. If it's not getting the right information to the citizens um, of India, that may be definitely a problem because you definitely don't want censorship of information, right? Um, so anyway, that comment right there can drive down a whole list of political stuff. So we'll stop and move on to the next topic.
KakaoTalk called a national communication network in Korea. A fire at a South Korean data center over the weekend caused a disruption for more than 53 million users worldwide. The fire took down KakaoTalk, South Korea's top messaging app. While key for messaging, the app also handles online payments, ride-hailing, gaming, and login verifications. It's a so-called super app. As of November 1st, 2021, reportedly more than 90% of the country's 51.74 million people use the app. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol described the impact of Kakao's outage as no different from the National Communications Network. Yoon's deputy spokesperson said the presidential office will launch a national task force to discuss the messenger service's outage. This will look at if KakaoTalk uses its market presence to manipulate markets. If so, Yoon called for systemic measures from a nationwide level for the interest of the people.
For the people, and it's an independent company apparently. Jiminy Christmas. So, okay. It's interesting how I just made the comment the other day about having an IR plan and was talking about the electrical issue, and these guys had a fire. May have been an electrical issue. You know, those electrical fires are nasty, nasty businesses. So, that's pure speculation on my part if it was electrical fire or not, but definitely a fire that was in a data center. And it is really interesting that, a lot of people turn a blind eye to companies who are growing and growing and growing to such large numbers that they only take a look at them when a calamity happens, right? um, Definitely I don't know about this application by any means just because it's outside of my purview, from my day-to-day operations. And it's never come up on a DFIR case or anything like that. um, and I don't think it's ever come up on any of our threat feeds either. So um, it's it's interesting. It really is. I'm curious if excuse me if this app is under some oversight of Korea or if it's kind of like Congress going and questioning Facebook and Meta or Google or whatever if you got congressional oversight type of thing. It'll be interesting to watch this thing one play out over the next couple of days. So this is definitely another one to keep on your radar. See how it progresses if anything else ever comes out of it. Um, with the sheer number of people that definitely are using this application, it would I could imagine with it handling payment as a payment gateway and things of that nature, it could definitely um, cause some issues, potentially buying goods and selling goods and things of that nature, and just living day to day life just outside of a pure messaging app. So if it was just a messaging app, then nothing to see here. But the fact that they did mention payment gateways and things of that nature that are being handled by this application, it's kind of interesting.
Mexico investigating spyware purchase. The Office of Mexico's Attorney General announced an investigation of the purchase of NSO Group's Pegasus spyware by the previous administration. The prior Attorney General's office reportedly acquired the spyware for 457 million pesos, about 23 million US dollars. One probe will look at if this purchase followed legal requirements. A second probe will look into reported evidence that NSO illegally sold Pegasus spyware, although the office released no further specifics about that investigation. After a watchdog discovered Pegasus installed on the phones of 3 journalists, Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador denied his administration used the software.
And all right, before we get into the topic, that's one really long name. That's a mouthful of a name. Anyway, I'm not trying to insult anybody's intelligence by this. So asterisk, if you don't know, listen to the next 30 seconds. If you do, skip past. But Pegasus is a software by the NSO group out of Israel. They are primarily known to put spyware on mobile devices, your cell phone, your tablets, things of that nature, through a zero-touch deployment. You may remember a couple years ago where you could be able to open up GPS and track GPS on iPhones and Androids and stuff like that through just sending a text message type of thing. These are really, those 0 days that Pegasus actually researches and leverages for that. So if you want to know where your favorite senator or unfavorite senator, if you will, was going about and doing what they were doing, you could potentially buy Pegasus if you were of that type of caliber to warrant the purchase of the Pegasus software. The NSO group owns and sells the Pegasus software claims it's only doing it to legitimate companies, government entities, things of that nature, which begs a question. I've never really cared for government overreach and things of that nature. I kind of talked about that again, not to get too political. But the simple fact that you can buy a software that can be sold to a government entity, insert favorite or unfavorite government name here, and through a zero-touch deployment, be able to see what all your text messages and all this stuff. That's why, applications like Signal and some of the other secure peer-to-peer encrypted communication work. So that way, if anything ever does happen, but hopefully those type of applications will work, even outside of your telephony service providers grasp of just watching what you do from a day-to-day. Plus your phone manufacturer. I mean, Google and Apple both are massively known for, exfiltrating gobs and gobs of information about, I held my phone here, now there, now there, now there, now there, all those GPS stuff is getting sent off as a telemetry. I walked, 3 steps to walk the dog. But anyway, I'll be quiet now. I'll keep rambling forever.
And now, thanks to this week's episode sponsor, SafeBase. The dreaded security review. It's important, but it can be a real pain. Endless emails, waiting for NDAs, dozens of PDFs, and those unwieldy questionnaires. I'm tired just reading that list. Luckily, there's a simple way to streamline the security review process. SafeBase. Their Smart Trust Center allows you to send one link to customers or prospects so they can easily get access to the security and compliance information they need. Learn more at safebase.com.
I will have to check that out. The SafeBase. Normally I kind of me personally, not saying everybody should, but me personally, I kind of normally tune these things out. But I'm definitely going to check out SafeBase. That's definitely my wheelhouse, so I'll definitely be looking at that. So anyway, carrying on.
Tornado Cash blocked by most Ethereum blocks. Last week, the U.S. Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Asset Control issued compliance recommendations for transactions on the Ethereum blockchain to screen out transactions associated with the Tornado Cash cryptocurrency mixer. CoinDesk reported that within 24 hours of issuing those recommendations, 51% of Ethereum blocks came into compliance. While it remains possible for Tornado Crash transactions to go through, it becomes more difficult as more validators and relays come into compliance. Many of the relays following the OFAC guidance came from Flashbots, an Ethereum-based research and development team.
All right, so here's another one. If you know about cryptocurrency, skip forward another 30 seconds, right? But this is kind of what, especially I deal with a good amount. So I think we talked about this. I know Dr. Gerald Ozier has definitely talked about this, but this is what we call a tumbler. So let's say you and 10 of your closest friends, or 10 other people, we'll just say, are looking to send some money wherever. You would send from your wallet to this tumbler. It will gather all these other transactions that are coming in for that tumbler, and it tumbles it up, mixes it up, gobbles it up, blah, 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 and then spits it out. So that way client A could not be tied to recipient W. That tumbler mixes everything up. And this is really just, trying to make sure that those things are more direct line, a one-to-one relation, so, the OFAC, Office of Foreign Assets and Control, we have to deal with those guys and gals all the time, especially when we're working DFIR cases and a client wants to make a ransomware payment. We always got to make sure that they're not on the OFAC compliancy list, aka the FBI's, most wanted, if you will. It's typically what I say, but they just don't want tumblers. They want to be able to track this stuff throughout the blockchain. Love it or hate it, it's what they're doing. So they've flexed their muscles, and the cryptocurrency blockchain is adhering to it. Which the argument could be made, for a decentralized platform that's not supposed to be dependent or reliant on any one entity, is really bending a knee to the U.S. government's OFAC. Take what you will.
Rust rescues Linux from code memory problems. When Linus Torvalds announced support for the Rust programming language in the Linux kernel, he cited ending Linux code memory problems as a major factor. As if to prove this, 5 recently disclosed Wi-Fi security holes all came from poorly written C code, resulting in memory problems. These included a buffer overflow flaw capable of crashing a system or leaking kernel information triggered by beacon frames on any access point. All flaws received patches, which were sent out with the latest stable kernel builds on October 13th.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, you always want to make sure your Linux kernel is, just like your OS or your iOS builds, you want those as secure as possible. I did start to wonder a couple months ago, when Rust and Golang was actually going to become part of the core infrastructure of the Linux OS builds. And it looks like we're starting to see that. Rust and Golang is definitely a more, I guess, robust kernel or compiler, if you will, that could be able to operate much faster. So it may make the operating system as a whole much faster, right? So anyway, it's cool to see some of the newer compilers and stuff like that get introduced into the kernel to actually hopefully make things more better, make it more productivity or more productive, and a better experience and more secure for the end user, right? So good to see that.
Venus ransomware targets remote desktop. This ransomware family only
Ransomware deployment protocol. Here we go.
Family only recently started appearing on the scene, with operations first noticed in mid-August 2022. According to the security analysts going by Linux CT and reports from victims, Venus gains access to corporate networks through Windows Remote Desktop Protocol. Once on the network, Venus will attempt to terminate processes associated with database servers and Office, delete logs, and disable data execution prevention. This will also add a .venus extension to encrypted files and upload a ransom note to the temp folder. The group appears active with new submissions uploaded to ID Ransomware daily. Victims note Venus targeted RDP even running on non-standard TCP ports.
As long as RDP is nothing more than ransomware deployment protocol. RDP is nothing more than ransomware deployment protocol. As long as ransomware has been around, their first things they were attacking was RDP. Oh my. All right, so here's another thing for you, ladies and gentlemen. If you have an EDR, you have a Splunk, you have whatever, Elk Stack, whatever that you may be using, here's what you need to do literally right now, right? Literally what you need to do right now. You need to start looking at, is there the execution of task kill being done, and monitor that. Anytime task kill is being run inside of your organization, it's a bad sign. Anytime, or something simple as IP config, who am I, host name. These are not things that your common user is going to be using. Sometimes it will be done, task kill will be executed by programs being upgraded. Adobe Cloud is very, very known for this, because they want to kill all the instances before they do it. It's a legitimate thing. But you're not going to hunt that, be able to find that threat actor if you're not watching for at least task kill, who am I, IPfig, host name. Those are the 4 biggest things you need to start looking for and constantly reporting on. If there's a way to get yourself an hourly log of that email to you every time there's one, I literally have it for all of our clients. I literally call it known TTP or known TTP actions. Comes every hour, and I'll review it. And I'm talking with our clients like, look, did you really run IP config on 4 different computers in under 5 minutes? Yeah, we were doing something. Okay, cool. Because you just made the neck on my back, the hairs on the back of my neck just stand up, seeing that many in that short of a time, right? You got to know your threat actors, right? And I'm also going to tell you, anytime VSS admin is being used is probably never a good thing, especially when it says VSS admin delete shadows. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are able to detect that and immediately isolate that device when that command is run, that's one of the first commands that they do after they do whatever, the who am I, the host name, stuff like that. That's one of their ransomware payload. That's one of them. 99% of the time, if you detect and be able to isolate based off of that rule itself, you could potentially save yourself from an actual ransomware infection. Exfiltration has already happened by this time. Preventing possible exfiltration is looking for your task kill, looking for these other items that are in here, right? That's what you want to stop before. Those are the early signs, right? That the threat actor is potentially inside of your environment. So this is definitely stuff that you need to go through. If you, ladies and gentlemen, do not have the ability to detect these things, reach out. This is what we do all the time, right? But you got to be able to detect these things, ladies and gentlemen. You will be a much better place knowing that your stuff is getting auto isolated because of things like this. Helps CISOs and blue teamers, help them sleep at night. Honestly, it really does. Anyway, rant over.
Kanye buying Parler.
Maybe not.
We covered the social network Parler extensively in the wake of the January 6th Capitol riots. The app claims to be a free speech platform. It received blamed as a planning platform for the Capitol violence, which saw its app kicked off popular cloud hosting and app stores as a result. Most recently, Parler announced the formation of Parliament Technologies, which would see it pivoting to providing uncancelable cloud services. Now, Parler announced it's entered into an agreement with Kanye West to buy the platform in a deal expected to close later this year. Parliament will continue to provide ongoing technical support and cloud services powered by its recent Dynascale acquisition after the deal closes.
I told you, ladies and gentlemen, I am not going to get political on this show. I have other podcasts that I do, massive political and just complete rants of stuff. Whatever. Good for Kanye, I guess. Right? I guess. The only thing we really need to worry about, if you personally use Parler or anything, or what's that one that Donald Trump put together? Free speech. I don't freaking know. Um, I think it's called free speech. I'm so disconnected on a lot of social media. Um, the only ones I really stay on is LinkedIn and Twitter anymore. Like I don't even have Facebook, right? So, um, if you're on there, just keep an eye on your security. You're making sure your stuff is secure and safe. Um, even with Elon Musk coming in to Twitter, is that going to be a better or worse solution for you on cybersecurity stance? Right. Same thing with Kanye West coming into Parler. Is it going to be? Oh yeah, DK, True Social. That's right. I wonder if that's the same DK I know. But anyway, um, Donald Trump does True Social. But anyway, if you're on True Social, you're on Parler or whatever, or you're on Twitter, is your data secure on that platform? And what exactly are you putting on that platform? You know, now here's one thing that I always recommend: never post out there that you're taking their selfies on skiing from a mountain. You know, hitting the Alps today. I mean, things like that is just not good, right? Tells criminals that in your neighborhood that you're not home, you're able to be robbed. I mean, just be safe online, right? I mean, these are post your vacation pictures a week or two after you're gone or after you're back, right? It's like, oh, these are some old vacation pictures, and I'm posting it up from our trip, type of thing. Don't ever broadcast that kind of stuff. But that's me with a little bit of tinfoil hat, a little on too tight as well. But that's kind of the world that I personally live in. And I think that was it for these guys.
This week on the CISO Series podcast.
Yep. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that was beneficial. Hopefully we didn't go too crazy on things for you today. Again, thank you to Dr. Joe Dozier for letting me fill in. I do believe I have one more guest spot toward the end of this week that we will be ironing out. We'll keep that one, a mum's word, if you will. But we definitely wanted to try to keep this thing under 45 minutes for DJ Bisek, which I did butcher his name last week, which I am highly known for doing all the time because Hooked on Phonics never worked for me. With that, get up, move around, ladies and gentlemen, go outside. Did you know that most of us are in the U.S., but down south in like Australia, things of that nature, they're getting ready to go into summer. So either you're in the fall or you're in the spring below the equator. It's a good time to go outside. We'll go walk the dogs. And as we noticed in Discord, somebody may have got a job lead just by meeting a neighbor by going out and walking their dog. So you just never know who's in your neighborhood. Till then, take care.